Hello, you are listening to Just Films and That. This is the podcast where we celebrate films we think deserve a little bit more love. Whether they're underrated, underseen, or even both, we're going to tackle them one film at a time. I'm the host, Josh Halloran, joined as ever by my co-host, Jamie Allen. Jamie, how you doing? You okay?
Josh, can you see me?
I can't see you, mate. Oh, you've lost faith in yourself.
Oh, it might just be the Wi-Fi.
Oh, yeah. You're just sad. Yes, Above the Shadows is what we're doing this week from 2019. So, spoiler warnings if you've not seen possibly the most generic title of a film we've ever done.
It's awful, isn't it? What a terrible...
Could be anything. That could be about anything. Could be supernatural, could be gritty Mike Lee drama.
Could be about pilot.
It's not. But spoiler warnings if you've not seen it. We'll get stuck into talking about that in a minute. Before I've got your attention, if you could head on over to whatever app or wherever it is you're listening to this, and if the function is there, give us a 5-star rating and review. It helps other people find the podcast. Only take a second of your time. We'd really, really appreciate it. It helps spread the word and help other people listen to our thoughts on films such as the generic sounding Above the Shadows. So, Jamie, you picked this one then. So, tell the guys at
One accusation. Jamie, you did this to us.
Jamie, you inflicted this. No. You picked this one. So tell the guys at home, what's it about and why did you pick it? Is it underrated? Is it underseen? Is it both?
I think this is underseen, probably not underrated. This is Olivia Thirlby plays a young girl whose mother dies of cancer, and because, watch out for a metaphor is coming at you, she feels unseen and ignored. And then suddenly becomes invisible, but not just becomes invisible, her family forget all about her. And she has to move through the world as an invisible person who then makes a living from taking photographs of celebrities doing naughty things instead of like...
AKA, what if a music video was 2 hours? It's sort of the plot of this film, isn't it?
Whoa, hang on. I feel like we're already... Did you not like this film?
No, I thought it was all right. I was just laughing at your...
But so she moves through the world kind of as an invisible person until Alan Ritchson, the sexy bouncer, can see her. Yeah, reach her. And for some reason, she's able to talk normally, which I feel like if you didn't speak to anyone for 15 years, you'd be like, what? Can you see? You sound like Yoda.
That actually comes up in my notes.
Yeah, but are we doing spoilers for this?
Yes, we'll do spoilers. So you think that's what it's about? You think it's underseen but not underrated?
I'm saying that as if I haven't been the co-host in this podcast for like a year now. What do we do? So
it's underseen, not underrated, and that's a little bit what it's about. Right, okay. So let's get stuck into this. I'm really excited to get into this one because I hadn't even heard of this one. Again, possibly because it's the most generic title of any film that we've done. I went into this with as little as you told me. Go into this with as little as possible, knowing. So apart from knowing the title and basically pretty much I think that Alan Ritchson was in it because he was in he was in the thumbnail on Amazon when I clicked on it. I knew nothing about it, so I did go in with as little as possible. So we'll get stuck in then. So if you've not listened before, we always talk about what we liked, we'll go into that, then talk about the dislikes, the negatives, and then we'll go back to that critical reception and that box office, which is going to be interested on this because I think it's a streamer. And talk about whether it is underseen, underrated, or both. Jamie, you picked this one. So do you want to tell us your likes first, or do you want me to go first?
Do you want to go first on this? I want to.
No.
I want to hear you talk for 5 hours on how great this film is.
No. So yeah, I think there's plenty to like here. Yeah, I think it's a good example of sort of a bit of a double. I will say this: the magic realism in this film is a bit of a double-edged sword. But on the positive side of things, I think it's done quite well. So things like it's a real interesting use of invisibility. So as you said in your description, she becomes invisible because she feels unseen, and there's a lot of interesting devices and puzzle solving around, well, how would someone live their life if they can't be seen by people? How does she get clothes? How does she get work? How does she, operate as close to normal as she possibly can? So I thought that was some real interesting stuff around the real world application of invisibility, because it's one of those powers where everyone goes, oh, I'd love to be invisible, and then we actually dig down into what it'd be like. You're like, no, it would be hell on earth actually when you think about it, because he would be incapable of being loved or whatever. So I thought it was interesting to dig down into that, almost like invisibility as a medical condition, that sort of thing. I thought there was some interesting personification of emotion. I thought it was really interesting. Like, it does sound wanky, but that metaphor for, like you say, she feels unseen, so she becomes invisible. But that was an interesting thing for the film to take a look at, and how it would affect someone's life, how it would affect someone emotionally. I thought some of the flashbacks were done really well. So some of the production design I'll touch on a little bit later on, but some of the production design and the way they execute it, I think is pretty good in terms of like it flashes back to her childhood and you see it looks like a different film. I thought that was quite interesting. There's quite some sort of contrast in that. I thought the acting was pretty good. I thought Olivia Thirlby was really good. She's got a lot to do in this film. I think she does vulnerable really, really well in this film. So when I said I want to touch on what you said there about, well, if you couldn't be seen by anyone, you would probably lose your ability to communicate, right? So one of the criticisms I saw of this film when I was preparing my notes was that it described the characterization of Holly, who's her character, Olivia Thirlby's character, as a bit wooden and a bit sort of vacant. Now, I disagree with that because I think there's no way she's quite monotone in the film. Like, there's elements where she does the narration and it feels quite Fight Club in that sense. And I think that is a choice. And I think what they're trying to say is basically, if you didn't speak to anyone, you would be like this.
Yeah, I've got that as...
And that's what I think. I think that's what she's doing with her performance.
She plays this as someone who hasn't had a conversation in 15 years.
Yeah.
I think she does it really well.
Yeah.
You know,
I think she's great in it. I think Alan Richardson, Reacher. I think Reacher's good in it. He's got a lot of like sort of physicality to do. Like it shouldn't go unnoticed that I don't know anything about him, whether he's done cage fighting or not. But the sort of he's fighting in this against sort of real cage fighters, right? As in they're not playing themselves, but they're acting as cage fighters, and I think he pulls it off. At no point do you think this guy's not, apart from the fact that he's perhaps a little bit too pretty. You never think he's not a cage fighter and things like that. So I thought there was loads to like here. I thought there's some good emotionality as well. And we'll come back to the emotion bomb side of things. I like that Megan Fox is in it for 45 seconds.
And all over the posters.
But all over everything. All over the posters. But I do like, I quite like the characterization of her character. Like, she's not, in other films, that character is a dick, and she's not. Yeah. She's just sort of there. She's just sort of like very like, oh yeah, we'll move on then. But no, I thought there was loads to like in this. What about you then? You picked it, so what did you like about it? What made you pick it?
Yeah, I mean, so I saw this randomly just pop up on Prime one night, and I was like, oh, I really like Alan Rich, and I'll give that a go. And was like, well, that's one thing that I love is when we mix romance with another genre, it tends to be comedy, rom-com. And this is a rom fantasy that is like you said, it's magical realism where it's taken very like, what would this be like? And it has about 5 different moments where you go, oh yeah, that would be a problem. Like when, I think the main one is when she shows a scar and she's like, I can't go to big crowds because if she can't go to doctors, she can't go to dentists. If she cuts herself, she has to sort it out herself.
Yeah.
And if she's waiting for a bus, she can't get a bus unless someone else is waiting for a bus. Yeah. I really like stuff like that they incorporate.
Even to how does she get into a building?
Yeah, you have to wait till someone's
leaving.
But then also I like that there's some stuff that they're confident enough to hand wave away. Like she's holding her phone in front of people. The kind of the rule is if it's something she's interacting with, people can't see it because it's not that she's literally invisible. It's that the whole thing is metaphor. So
there's not a set of clothes walking around with an empty person in.
Yeah, and they've handled that quite well because otherwise it would be you have to wear the clothes that it's not like something spilled on it. This is, and it's not explained, So I like all that. I like we said, I like both the acting in it. I kind of like the morality in this is they're not perfect people.
They're flawed.
He's admitted that he cheated on Megan Fox. At one point he's like, I'm going to go back to Megan Fox because we can't have a proper life together. It's not like a perfect love story. She's blackmailing people. And I was thinking like, oh, that's quite bad. But the people she's blackmailing, it's like one has been, seen with 16-year-olds and one is taking illegal drugs. So I think the thing there is that she doesn't tell him that she's fixing these fights.
But there is some quite interesting, like you said, like moral dilemma exploration in there.
Yeah. And yeah, it's, But also, it's not melodrama. Like, he's quite forgiving. They forgive each other quite quickly when
Mm,
things happen.
mm.
It's not going to be like that. You don't have to do a big speech as well. There's no speechifying of like, I thought I couldn't be seen, blah blah blah. But you really see. I don't think they do like the hammer home that she's starting to be seen again because he sees her.
No, it's all quite played down, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's why I'll do it in my dislikes. We don't really get any big emotion bombs from me. Um,
I quite liked so there's an emotion bomb in there where there's a realization for Holly, Olivia Thirlby's character, around how what she went through affected everyone else, and it's almost this thing of, oh, this affected me so literally and so supernaturally that I never thought that you lost your mum and you lost your wife and things like that, and I thought that was quite strong.
Yeah, and it's quite interesting that when she hears the sister talking, she's like, my mum played favourites, and it's like early on, it's thought of as a good thing of this relationship we had with her mum. But it sounds like actually the mum was a bit of a dick to the other two kids.
Yeah.
Like if she had a favourite that she's like, I love you so much. And also if she's faded away, that's it because she didn't step up. I had a loss in my mum passed away last year,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone in the family stepped away. So in a way, we are better than everyone in Above the Shadows. But it's you do kind of have to go, right, how
You
does this
pick this
affect
to get
everyone?
one over on other people.
No, do you know what? Genuinely, I forgot that this was a Cancer Mum film until I put it on. I was like, shit, okay, let's go, baby.
And we can cut this out, but if you want to cut this out. How did you find watching it, having gone through that?
Well, you insisted I watch it, didn't you? Because you thought it'd be funny. But
Yeah,
no,
I did. Well, so I said I want to do one of those webcam reactions.
no, weirdly there's some that I can't watch, but this one was fine. I think because it's done so quickly, and it's
It's all done and dusted in 5 minutes, isn't it? I suppose.
yeah. But it was. But also, I think because it's so opposite to where I say like we all came together and did really well. I don't want to brag, but I absolutely smashed the eulogy. But she, the point they're making is when so don't act like this thing is just happening to you. And she does realize that. She realizes she needs. It's quite convenient that she's in a situation where she can help her family very quickly. She's like, oh, I'll just trip over a girl, and then my brother won't be such a sad loser. And I'll just. Luckily, my sister is in a situation where I can knock over a bin to fix her life. But again, I didn't dislike them because it's like we can't drag this out. You get the idea. She's been spending time with her family, but they just can't see it. I like that as well. That she's clearly going back and watching them do stuff. So she knows them. She knows them in and out. They just don't know her. Did you like the family interactions that she had?
Yeah, I did, like particularly with I was unclear on the brother stuff. So it was I don't think it ever was clear enough on what's actually going on with him, because it seemed to be at first he was like, oh, he's a perv, and then it's like, oh, he's not. The sister stuff I thought was really well done though, because it's obviously they've lost their mum and her plot line is all about being a mum. So I thought that was quite strong, and the dad stuff was quite strong as well. That idea of, well, he's just working because he's distracted because he hasn't got anything else.
Yeah, and what I would say is she watches her brother's film and she's like, this is amazing actually. And it's not, is it? That is a dog shit film.
It's just legs.
It's the floating bag from American Beauty, isn't it? Where you're meant to be like, wow. And you're like, it's not for me, give it another pass. Maybe put it through AI, see what happens. But yeah, apart from that, I like all that. But I like, you said it's downplayed, which the playoff is, we don't get them big melodrama moments, but it does mean that I didn't roll my eyes at any of this. I wasn't like, oh. And again, as a film that works as a huge metaphor, which probably, you joked, it could be a 5-minute short, couldn't it?
Yeah,
I think
could be a music video.
The characters are still likable enough that I'm like, I'll spend time with these people. Actually, I would have liked to have gone further with them and explored more of like the stuff in her life. Did they don't mention the practicality of it. Is there a birth certificate in that house, but they've just forgot?
Yeah.
There's previous pictures of the family, and have they changed? Have they changed in their view? But maybe they haven't changed. And I know the film is smart enough to go, we're not getting into the minutiae of that. But it just makes you wonder, like, okay, what actually did change?
Yeah, well, this thing is that so I mentioned, didn't I, that the magic realism is a double-edged sword, and I'll come back to that. But I do think they get the balance largely right on what to expose to exposition and what to not. So, like you said, there's no point getting it. It's like, again, one of the biggest films last couple of years. It's like, how does everyone forget Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Like, what's the in and outs of that? Conveniently, he's got no spoiler warnings, but conveniently, he's got no ties to anybody else, so it's not like anyone forgets him being born or anything like that. But it doesn't, like you say, it doesn't have to be, has the dad suddenly forgotten, 12 hours or 24 hours or whatever he did, sat in A&E or sat in the maternity ward of a hospital? Like, what's gone on?
Yeah,
What's replaced the memories of her?
There's a third bedroom in that house. What's going on? Is the school not like calling up being like, where's Ollie? What's going on?
He's claiming child benefit. He goes away because she's gone.
Another, what I would also, like, what I would do, I like a romance film where I know this sounds superficial, but they sleep together in the middle of the film.
Mm.
Instead of building to the act of getting together, it's more adults to, once you've got that out of the way of, because it's like, are we in a relationship? Are we did this? Is this just a thing that happened?
Mm.
And also a lot of rom-coms especially will be like, we've slept together, so now we're going to get married and we're together forever. Whereas this is like this
bit more mature.
We were physically attracted to each other. We slept, and also another one of those. Oh yeah, of course she'd be a virgin. Like,
yeah, and they're not they don't shy away from saying it. She just sort of goes, I've never done this before. And someone walks out and might have seen him banging thin air.
Well, that's in my don't likes is give us that shot.
Banging nothing.
Yeah. I feel like Emerald Fennell would have given us that shot. But
she'd have made us watch the whole thing start to finish.
But and also he handles it really delicately. He's like, we'll go slow.
Yeah.
And then doesn't. He's just actually anyway. But what I would say is they should have made a joke about your fare should not be Alan Rich. Maybe build up to that. But yeah, that's handled well. They didn't shy away from that. It's because I think a Disney-fied version of this would have been more of a comedy. They would have used it for comedy, and this would have been they're building up to kiss at the end. Whereas this is like, no, they're two adults physically attracted to each other. Yeah, the magic that changed her also made the moon 5 times bigger. So of course they're gonna have sex on the roof, and I like that because it means you're not just wondering, well, how does their relationship work afterwards? They've done that act in the middle. And so you can see, like, are they going to be together? How do they act around each other?
Okay, so we'll move on to talking about the dislikes. Then we'll cover anything that we didn't like about the film, anything we'd change about the film, and then we'll have a little look at that critical reception. Jamie, you picked this one then. So is there anything you didn't like about it? Is it a smash hit for you? I get the impression there's one or two things there. What do you reckon?
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of emotion bombs, and
yes.
I feel like we've been robbed of a couple of emotion bombs in this. We've talked about one of my favorite films, Rise of the Guardians, and weirdly we have a similar moment in this where Jack Frost is seen for the first time, and the music swells, and it's he's been invisible for hundreds of years, no one can see him, and he's literally proclaiming like, "Oh my God, you can see me," and it is a big emotion bomb. In this, at the end, when everyone can see her in the ring, she doesn't have that reaction of like, "Oh, finally I'm back." It's because it's a huge moment for her. They're trying to get her off the side of the ring, and she's like, "All right, yeah, all right, well,
down in front.
Can I just watch the end of the fight? I know him if that's and it's
we had invisible sex a while ago.
But it's did you feel like? And also,
there was. I think that's that double-edged sword. So I think they're going for a sort of a downplay. An equilibrium that they maintain through the film to never go too big and never go too small. And I think one of the ways that doesn't pay off, it's almost like, I wonder if they're very wary that this is like a 1 or 2 step away from a Twilight.
Yeah.
And I think they're thinking, we want this to be, it's not young adults, this is adults. And I think it just ends up a bit muddled in its emotionality because of examples like that. Like, for example, I've put in my notes, I do think they get the exposition of the device and why she's invisible more or less spot on. But I think that there is a missed opportunity. For example, with why can Shane see her?
Mm.
It's never really explained beyond the fact that they've got a link in that she is responsible for him being the way he is, which is just sort of batted off and spoken about very briefly. But I think there's a missed opportunity there for shared trauma. You don't actually know that much about Shane apart from what happened to him and where he was in his career. But you don't know anything about his background and his personal history or anything like that, really. So I think there's an opportunity for shared trauma there. But I do think they thought if they did the whole we're shared trauma, it becomes star-crossed lovers, it becomes, it becomes Twilight, it becomes The Fault in Our Stars or something like that. And I think they're very wary of keeping that audience more mature. So I do wonder if there's a bit of wasted potential there. Even things like how has emotional stress affected other people with their powers, and I don't mean go all X-Men with it, but what if Shane himself had something or something? I don't know. Just a couple more character beats in there to get that emotionality. Like you say at the end, it's almost like they've gone. Almost, it's so realistic. She's in shock,
Yeah.
but you don't get that emotionality then.
Yeah. And even the reuniting with the dad is like really downplayed, and it's like I get what you're saying, and I'd like to. It's one of them where you're like, you could have gone a little bit more. Give us a little.
Yeah.
Adults like a little bit of melodrama, and if you rob us of that, then it. Luckily, the performances carry it out that I like both of them enough that I'm happy that they get together at the end, and that he hand waves like, "Oh, Megan Fox, nah, you're right." Like that. I also story wise, I don't think they clearly explain, because it does just seem like he's got back with her. And there's like,
yeah, it's not that they were seeing each other as mates or he was looking for some closure as to what happened. It's just like, oh no, I'll just change my mind and then change it back again.
Yeah, well, now everyone can see her. I think I'll go with you.
Yeah.
Box
Because
number
I can
two,
tell everyone
please.
you were invisible for a bit,
Yeah.
and no one will know because you're invisible.
Yeah. You couldn't have snitched on me, but now you can. Don't tell anyone I'm a bastard, please.
Yeah.
I've got apart from that, though, what I would have liked in terms of dislikes is there's a chance to give us a bit more of the wish fulfillment side. Like, show us
Yeah.
the fantasy stuff of, because we get it when she's next to his agent and she can tell what he's looking at on the phone. Give us winning poker, scaring people. You
Yeah.
can have that scene in Ghost when he's messing on the computer, and there's stuff. I think there's room for a bit more fun in this movie,
Yeah, I think
but
you're,
I'm
like
not
things
making it a comedy.
how did she make her first lot of money? So, for example, she blackmails scumbags. So, does she just go in a scumbag's wallet and take a load of money or his credit card or something?
Yeah, she could be a master thief, but
Yeah.
she chooses to ruin people's lives
She
instead.
chooses to blackmail people for low level stuff. No, I know. I do think there's elements of the script that are a bit shonky as well. Like there's a touch of forceness to it, like the bit where she walks into his apartment and he just makes her watch a raindrop race. I was a bit like, just show us them getting on, show us them connecting. You don't have to do that. You don't.
Well-
That's where it's almost like this started as a young adult thing and then grew and evolved, and they never took some elements of that out.
Well, the thing is, Josh, she's had to watch Windows a lot in her life. She says,
Yeah.
you can still touch stuff. You can still watch TV, love.
Yeah. Anything else from me? I've got one more thing.
No, I mean, I think some people would say that this should be more of a YA thing. But what I liked about this is that it felt unique. Like the tone of this felt unique. We don't really get the kind of fantasy that's played out at this level.
No. I think you're right. I think it's just they couldn't decide on one side of the fence or the other, so it came out a bit muddled. If they'd got, because also there will have been someone in there being like, well, like for example, you don't really see things where they do explore things like sex in a legitimate sense. You get obviously wish fulfillment, like say, I don't know, Hollow Man or something like that, where it's like it becomes all horny or whatever. But the actual implications of, well, how would you? Because she's invisible, but you can see her, sort of thing. Or that adult side of things, you never really get that, because I think they worry that strays too adult, and then other stuff strays too teenage.
I think you would have to be the best filmmaker in the world to actually do a POV sex scene in this and not make it look stupid. But I feel like Alan Richard would probably have been like, what an acting challenge for me.
No one else on the set that day. I'm figuring this out. The last thing from me is it does have that thing that more recent films done, particularly those that are on streaming, where it does not look like it's in a real place. Like everything
Okay.
looks like it's on green screen, or well, and I know a lot of it is shot at ungodly hours of late at night or early in the morning or whatever. But there are things like it doesn't quite. It feels like it's in a city where no one lives.
Yeah, I think if you take away them two main actors, it does feel. I mean, it was straight to streaming, but I think there's like a little tiny elevated element to it where it's like, no, this is a bit better than a streaming movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's certain fights where you're like, hold on, this is meant to be a massive fight, and there's about 50 extras in the background.
Yeah.
And that,
It's
you
the
know, it
world
can't be
championship
helped.
fight, and there's 20 guys watching
Yeah.
this. But yeah, other than that, I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was, it's pretty watchable, if a little bit muddled in terms of who's this for.
Yeah, but again, that's what I do like, is it's not been shoehorned into this is for these people. It just kind of stands unique. That's why I kind of brought it up.
Okay, so we'll move on to talking about the critical reception and the box office then. As Jamie said when we started, he picked this one because he thinks it's underseen, not that it's underrated, but we'll look at both. If you've not listened before, we take the Rotten Tomatoes score, the audience and the critics score, the IMDb score, and we average them out, and then we'll have a little look at the box office, which is going to be really hard because this is a streaming film. Scores wise, then, how do we think this did? I mean, I think this is a solid 6 out of 10. I thought it was, it's perfectly serviceable. I wouldn't be in a rush to watch it again, but I don't actually think this is for me. Having said that, being objective, I had plenty to like in there. I enjoyed it. I'd probably give it a 6 to 6.5. Underseen, hard to say because it's streaming. I'd never even heard of this, but it might be, and this was on my dislikes because it's got the most generic title in the world.
Yeah, I actually worried for a second because there's an old film called Above Us the Waves. And I was like, oh, what if I've made Josh watch the wrong film?
Or Dark Shadows.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, it's a terrible name.
So go on then. How did the scores do?
All right. So IMDb, and I actually agree with these for once. I know I tend to inflate my IMDb 6.1.
Okay.
Rotten Tomatoes audience 64%.
Okay.
Rotten Tomatoes critics 63%.
Right. So all pretty across the board. Yeah, so that's working out the average. That's between 62 and 63%, or 6.2, 6.3 out of 10. I think that's appropriately rated for me.
I've got a couple of factors to suggest that this is underseen now, because obviously it is streaming.
Yeah, so there's no
the only box office. The only box office I could find was from Turkey.
How did it do in Turkey?
It made $1,594 in Turkey.
Oh, good. Well,
but
that's good.
It was a VOD release, which means normally streamers don't say kind of
they don't
the
report.
level.
Yeah.
But the Rotten Tomatoes critics, that 63% comes from 8 reviews, which suggests how ignored this film is. We'd never heard of it. I'd never heard of it, and I tend to know films that have come out, especially with this cast. And I feel like it was just buried on the streaming service. Like it never pops up in suggested films, does it? And I think it deserves a bit better than that. This isn't one of those awful, Street Fighter 5 that just gets put in the background.
And maybe that's a reflection of what we were saying about the audience. Maybe because they didn't know where to put it. Who does this come up for? Like, what do you have to watch for this to come up? Because I suppose you're going to be watching fantasy or romance, but if they don't want it to be linked with YA stuff, it's not going to come up if you watch, Twilight, Hunger Games, Maze Runner, anything like that.
So I think this is where TikTok helps, because you get films like this where they'll put a key scene from it in TikTok, and people will go, oh, I looked that up, but it's free on Prime to watch. Yeah.
Like that one where Tobey Maguire screams over and over again that everyone always shares.
Oh, Brothers, is it?
Yeah. Or the other one where he's a chess. Is he Bobby Fischer? Is he playing chess? There's multiple ones. Tobey Maguire does a lot of screaming. But anyway, no, I think you're probably right. I think it probably is underseen. There's definitely plenty to like in there. There's definitely an audience for it. I think they just needed to decide who that audience was. For me, I think perhaps do skew it a bit younger. Skew it for... You can still make it a 12A and skew it for 14, 15-year-olds.
I think what we can hope for is, like, kind of with the rise of Olivia Thirlby and Alan Rickson, people will come back. It will fall into, like, oh, you like that actor, so...
Yeah.
hopefully. And God, he's jacked in this as well, isn't he?
He's so jacked all the time, man. That 1,500 quid from Turkey, that was like one day of protein supplements for him.
We get it straight off the bat as soon as he answers the door. Oh, here's me, topless. I did.
The amount of scenes where he must answer the door in a towel or in his jeans. Or in his underwear. No, it's in his contract, every single one. If he gets Batman, which everyone reckons he might do, that's coming.
Yeah, I'd love it. I'd love to see him Batman, but he just wears the trousers. And trousers, calves, no top.
Well, there we go. Another one that is appropriately rated, but underseen, which is why Jamie picked it. So I think you're happy with that, aren't you, mate?
Yeah, happy. Yeah, give it a watch.
Okay, indeed. Give it a watch. We'll be back next week with another episode. In the meantime, if you'd like to get in touch with us, it's filmsandthatpod@gmail.com. Drop us an email if you've got an idea for a film. We'll add it to the list. We're on all the social media as well. If you search for Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube, or Letterboxd as well, everything you need is in the show notes. Give the link tree a click and everything is there. If you're looking for other film content as well, Jamie's got a podcast. Jamie, tell them a little bit about your podcast, mate.
Oh, go on then, Josh. I've got a podcast called The Best Movie 2, the number 2, and it is designed to tell you what movie to watch in any given situation. For example, what's the best movie to watch if you're going for a breakup? What's a breakup or a breakup? What's the best movie to watch if you're interested in space? Things like that. So give that a listen. And also, we're on Letterboxd as well under The Best Movie 2.
Indeed, that is also in the show notes. Give it a click. Check it out, because I've been the co-host for about 40 to 50% of Jamie's episodes. But we'll be back next week with another episode. Thank you very much for listening. It's goodbye from me. Cheerio.
Bye.